Be a part of the best pro wrestling podcast today at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Enjoy tons of bonus videos, including patron-only live shows, gameplay, and vintage 10 for the wins, access to podcast question threads, the Friendo Care Package, and so much more. Support Going In Raw today at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Hey friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And on today's Going In Raw news brief, we find out who CM Punk has on his dream match list. PWI named their best in the world for 2020, and we preview tonight's SmackDown. But first, will Retribution be revealed at Payback? Larson, what's in the news?
Oh, speaking of Payback, Retribution, today, suspected Retribution member Dominic Dijakovic, he at least has been involved in some of these segments in the past, sent out a tweet and then quickly deleted it, and it contained a series of numbers. They are 1921140400125. WrestleZone pretty quickly figured out that if you take each pair of numbers and of course they match up with a letter, it spells out a word, that word being Sunday, of course, Payback Sunday. So, Retribution, Payback, synonymous. It'd be shocking if Retribution did not make an appearance at this pay-per-view that's basically named after them. So are we actually going to finally learn who's under those ski masks this Sunday? Yes or no, Steve? What do you think?
Yes, I do. Payback is such a B-level pay-per-view. It's essentially a Raw SmackDown Super Show. So, I mean, it's literally 1 week after SummerSlam. It kind of feels like they didn't want to ruin SummerSlam potentially with some because Retribution's getting all sorts of negative attention.
Oh, yes.
And so it feels like maybe they didn't want to risk, because SummerSlam was a fun show.
Yeah.
They didn't want to risk ruining like positive buzz coming out of SummerSlam with what could be potentially a fart of a reveal.
You know, another thing too that I thought is maybe they split up Payback and SummerSlam across 2 weekends rather than having a super long SummerSlam, because we had heard, especially with no fans, they want to keep these pay-per-views at a reasonable length. So rather than doing a 4.5, maybe 5 hour SummerSlam, they're like, all right, let's do 3 hour SummerSlam, like a 2.5 hour show the following week. Hey, we have this faction that's not gaining a lot of traction right now. This is Payback. You know, that kind of means the same thing as Retribution. Let's just do something there. I have a theory. I guess I could spill the beans on it now, because I teased it earlier. It might come into play when we do our predictions. That'll be up tomorrow, Saturday. So I know it's not the main event. Main event is going to be for the Universal title, but probably right before that is going to be a bout between Keith Lee and Randall Keith Orton.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if Retribution comes out, spoils the end of that match, because, you know, they want to keep Orton hot. They want to keep Lee strong. He just debuted. I'd be shocked if there's an actual finish.
Yeah, me too.
Dijakovic, you know, he's leader of group. Of course, he and Keith Lee have quite the history for themselves. Maybe they follow the pattern what NXT did in terms of getting Keith Lee over, having him in a series of matches against Dijakovic, so that each of them could show off how absolutely incredible they are on the ring and help get them both over.
That would be smart. There's one major caveat to that.
Yeah, no one on main roster creative probably watches NXT.
Right, that's exactly right. They do have a long history, one that we appreciate being avid watchers of NXT. Yep. However, Vince would probably be down. Like Vince probably watches NXT. He probably knows what's going on there. He probably knows what Dijakovic can do. I just think that like he would be like, well, it's obvious that Vince sort of considers main roster kind of a clean slate. Yes. They don't carry a ton of.
They don't, and usually to the detriment of whoever's getting called up from NXT.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because you would think that, hey, you reference stuff on main roster when somebody comes from NXT, it's going to want people that will go watch NXT because there's continuity there. It is one of the most bizarre things that I've ever seen.
I know. And also, you got to establish characters in NXT. People are comfortable with those characters, with their presentation, and they come to the main roster, and that's all changed. Yeah. Maybe we saw it with Bob Roode. Bob Roode is like perhaps the most, like, turn from what he was in NXT.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In NXT, he was like a strategic heel who was a mastermind of how to take advantage of mistakes by his opponent. That was his character in NXT, at least in terms of the wrestling ring. he had the whole thing about I'm going to have CEOs and whatnot in the front row. That never came to fruition. But everything else about his character was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like he knew deliberate. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Everything about his character was very deliberate. And he goes on the main roster, and his character is pretty much his theme song, and he smiles a lot, and that's it. There was nothing more to it.
It was really weird. It was really weird. But that's I mean, that's how it goes. Like Vince, he sees, oh man, look at this guy, glorious Bobby Roode. Just go out there and be glorious, and he's like, what? And then they shove him out.
Yeah, what does that mean? Just be glorious, Bob.
Right as he's like walking out there, smile a lot. Well, Bob Roode doesn't like to smile. It's kind of obvious. Anyways, he
doesn't like being forced to smile.
I really like that idea. I think it's a great idea. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I thought you were going to go in the direction of Keith Lee would be the leader of Retribution, because Dijak would be his second guy, his lieutenant. I think that could be kind of cool too. I mean, the names that are under the hoods in Retribution, assuming the last time we saw Retribution, those are the people. It looked like it was probably Mia Yim, maybe Caden Carter, Dio Madden, Dijakovic, like you said.
And then Shane Thorne.
Maybe Shane Thorne. Those are some really talented individuals, and if they give them a proper manifesto, a proper motivation, I think Retribution can totally be saved. You need some really cool wow moments as opposed to some turd moments.
And then that would potentially explain why Dijakovic didn't show up at the main event of the last TakeOver to advance the story between Cross and Keith Lee, because everything seemed to indicate, at least from my perspective, that something like that could happen, and they barely, commentary referenced it, and that was it.
Did commentary reference
Apparently
TakeOver?
They did. Apparently they did, because
I don't
we were
remember that.
watching and streaming and stuff, so I didn't hear it. But when we were doing the recap, people in chat said that commentary did reference Dijakovic during the match.
Okay. I thought you meant, I'm sorry, I was in a different place. And then they always do this. When somebody loses to leave NXT, they don't reference the fact that they just lost a TakeOver when they show up on main roster, and they didn't reference that also.
No.
When he got to Raw. Anyways, PWI put out their top 500, the PWI 500, appropriately titled because it's 500 wrestlers who all did best from June 30th of 2019 to July 1st of 2020. And topping that list, Larson, is your AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley. Does he deserve to be at the top of the list, yeah or nay?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. PWI's list is like 75% kayfabe.
Yeah, sure.
Like win-loss record. I know listed is first on the list of criteria. I don't know if it's exactly the most weighted bit of criteria in terms of most important. But historically speaking, a lot of times, kayfabe, wins and losses, plays a significant role in these rankings.
Yeah.
If we're actually talking who had the best 365 days of the period you listed, if you're just looking at it objectively and don't take kayfabe into account, even though if you do, it doesn't hurt this individual's case, is Adam Cole. Adam Cole honestly should be at the top of the list. I think the reason why is further down their list of criteria, it says something like success against highest grade of competition. So I would suspect that PWI considers AEW a higher level of competition than NXT. But, NXT, while it's not really the case so much these days, it's viewed upon in some circles, maybe even within WWE, as a developmental promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas AEW must, be held on the same level as Raw or SmackDown.
There's one pretty big caveat here too, as well, and I'm sure they probably mentioned this in their write-up. But the G1 was during this period, and Jon Moxley won a lot in New Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back to June when this list starts, July 13th technically is the first match. So Fyter Fest was on the 29th of June. This started June 30th. From July 13th, 2019, a win over Taichi, a win over Jeff Cobb. Let's go back here.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Based on kayfabe, like Mox should, it's totally understandable because I don't think he hasn't lost in AEW. He had a great G1.
Yeah.
So I get it.
He had a really terrific G1. What is this? NEW Prison Break. He defeated Pentagon Jr.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Was that was the
I
new?
didn't
Was that
watch
new,
it. I remember hearing about it.
Was that was the New Japan thing?
No. That was Northeast Wrestling.
Ah, yeah, I remember that. Okay, I remember that. But yeah, on Dynamite. I mean, he rattled off wins here.
Yeah.
Pac, Omega, Darby Allin, Michael Nakazawa, Joey Janela, Trent, Lance Archer back to New Japan, Juice Robinson, Sammy Guevara.
He hasn't really lost much. I get that in terms of kayfabe, definitely. But
if we're talking
my criteria is being good. Yeah,
if we're talking like who just had a killer 365 days. Now, if it was from January 1st of 2019 to December 31st of January of 2019, like I would Adam Cole for sure. I'm trying to see like the second half of the first half of 2020. The first half of 2020, if you look at Adam Cole's Pro Fight DB, it's not as impressive. And I agree with you. If we're looking at merely just performance, Adam Cole is probably like number one performer for me. But if you look at the first half of 2020, yeah, I mean, Adam Cole's isn't nearly as impressive as Mox's.
Oh yeah, because if win-loss record is the primary metric, and then you got the success against the high level of competition, so I understand why Mox.
Yeah.
In terms of the use of PWI's criteria.
Yeah. So
I'm not gonna complain about it, but we made it pretty clear who we thought the best wrestler in 2019 was, and that was largely the second half of 2019. That was Adam Cole.
And I'm sticking with that.
Same.
Anyways, speaking of the best wrestler in the world, CM Punk once claimed to be that, and he's talking dream matches. He did a Twitter Q&A. Is that right, Larson?
Yeah, well, he's doing some deadlifts in his basement. I remember reading the tweet yesterday,
cool.
when he said, I got some time to rest between sets, time for a Q&A. And, of course, fans asked him about possible opponents in AEW and NXT. So when he was asked who he'd like to face in All Elite Wrestling, Phil responded, quote, I think interesting people to work with would be Omega and the Bucks. Makes total sense.
Yep.
When it comes to NXT, Punk mentioned one name, Fergal.
Oh, wow.
So he wants to work with Finn Balor.
Wow. That's cool. Probably not going to happen, right?
Oh, highly doubtful unless someone throws a ton of money his way.
It seems like those days are up, man. I wonder if he regrets that. If he should have been like, man, while WWE was just doling out fat Edge money, I should have got in on that.
He probably wants like 10 times Edge money, though. That's what he said. Like the like negotiations at the start. I think he said 20 million.
Yeah. Still, what they probably would have given him is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got a Smackdown tonight. We're going to be doing our recap live at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson, and on that Twitch channel. Tomorrow, sometime in the afternoon, I'll be bleaching half my head from the part, like this area over here of some sort. So, yeah,
again,
check
I'm just
that
saying
out.
this. You're going to do what you're going to do. You only need to do a streak, man.
Look, man, the spirit of the thing was, here's the thing. If I would have won, which I only lost by a point, you would have looked like a royal asshole. So I'm fine, reciprocating, looking like a royal. Although, like, when I'm on camera, you can't even see what it's going to be, but still. Anyways, tonight, Roman Reigns. This will be interesting to see how they approach Roman Reigns with sort of a contract signing thing where we get to see a bit of his personality, maybe.
Well, I think the more interesting aspect is how is the Fiend Bray Wyatt going to work into this contract signing? That's so outside of how he normally comports himself. It's going to be weird.
He's got to be in his Firefly Funhouse persona.
I would suspect that's the only way it would work. If he comes out with the Fiend outfit and the entrance for this, it's going to be like, all right, who's here that just came from Party City with their Halloween costume coming to do some legal documents? It's going to seem so weird.
So they're gonna have their contract signing, and then Big E is to join Miz TV after the explosive Talking Smack standoff with the Miz. This is pretty interesting stuff they had on Talking Smack. Some might say controversial. Miz really giving it to Big E about, hey, you need to be serious, and Big E insisting, no, I don't want to just do the same thing everybody else has done. I want to craft my own path and do it the way I know how to do it. So I'm glad that they're taking Talking Smack, something that worked really well there. They're going to put it on TV, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it'll be, good and not a dud. Like you've said in the past, especially when Miz gets together with Morrison, it's
hit or miss.
It's hit or miss completely. There's no gray area there. It's not just like, oh, this is kind of funny. It's either, man, this is really good, or this really is cringy.
It's like embarrassing wrestling television.
Yeah. So this will be good, man. Hopefully they take it. Hopefully they take this serious. I mean, that's kind of. I like this idea though. I like the idea of he doesn't have to be serious, or he can craft his own way. Mm-hmm. But if people call him out on that, it's going to bring out some intensity, because that's what we saw in Talking Smack.
Yes. It's
a great way to approach it. Hopefully they kill this segment. There's chances they won't, though. Anyways.
Well, I think Big E will undoubtedly.
I was talking about creative.
Oh, okay. I mean, be a standout in terms of his performance, but creatively, yeah, that's something else entirely.
Sometimes it's not up to him. Anyways, thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Be a part of the best pro wrestling podcast today at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Enjoy tons of bonus videos, including patron-only live shows, gameplay, and vintage 10 for the wins, access to podcast question threads, the Friendo Care Package, and so much more. Support Going In Raw today at patreon.com/Steve and Larson.